Welcome in everybody to the second episode of the Saber Fortress. My name is Andrew. Congratulations, you went out and you bought your first lightsaber. And if you're anything like me when I bought my first lightsaber, you open the box, you put everything to the side, you got that user manual, and you learned all about it.
Perhaps.
But maybe you didn't. And that's what this video is going to be for. You're going to learn how to use your Zeno V2 lightsaber. And for that, I'm going to enlist the help of Small Maul here. Call him Small Maul because, as you may be able to tell, looks just like Darth Maul's lightsaber, except it is a smaller version, like a one-handed version. It actually does have the option to do a blade on both sides. I opted for the saber plug instead, and I think you're going to see some cool effects out of it. Let's get started. Okay, so now that we're in a little closer here, you can see what I'm talking about with it being really similar to Darth Maul's lightsaber. It's got the activation buttons, although they actually don't do anything. The real activation button's right here. And then this is actually a little plug that's hiding the charging port. As I mentioned, it does have the option for a blade on either side, but I think for what we're doing today, you'll see some cool effects from the saber plug here. All right, first step is, of course, turning on the saber. So we're going to do that by pressing down and holding the activation button here until you hear the words power on.
Power on.
Next step from there is going to be one light flash, which is going to change the volume. So you're going to press and hold this button down for 1 second or for one light flash.
Volume low.
Now we got volume low. One more time. And that mutes it. So if you're ever playing with the saber at night or maybe outside, you just don't want to bother anybody, good option. You still get the blade, of course, but just no sound along with it. And then press and hold, turn it off. We're actually going to set this back to
Volume high.
volume low.
Volume low.
Some of these effects can get kind of loud, and I don't want to be yelling over them. So next one is going to be 2 light flashes, which is going to adjust the blade effect, meaning when the blade is out, what is the effect that is occurring with the actual blade itself. So as you can see, when we turn it on, this is the standard blade, or steady it's referred to. Just a straight light, no pulses, no flashes, no effects of any kind. We hold down for 2 light flashes. 1, 2. Now we're going to get a pulse. So from here you can actually see that the blade is now pulsing, breathing almost, ever so slightly.
Rainbow blade.
Rainbow blade is going to change the blade completely. So this is no matter what font you have activated, no matter what color you decided on the blade being, it's always going to change to this rainbow effect. All right, let's go to the next one. 1, 2.
Candy blade.
Candy blade's kind of similar, except the colors aren't so vibrant. There we are. You can see it pretty clearly. And this is why I wanted to use Small Maul. It's really cool that you get all the effects on the bottom of the hilt like that. Okay. 1, 2.
Unstable.
Alright, so now this is like a really harsh kind of strobing. So similar to the pulse, but a lot faster, more intense.
Cracked blade.
So this is going to show as if the blade had some structural integrities.
Fire blade.
Fireblade is almost like pulse, but it's almost like the pulse is coming from the bottom of the blade up. This is really good if you're trying to cosplay as like a Kylo Ren.
Steady.
All right, and then back to steady. So the next one's going to be 3 button flashes. which is going to change the ignition effect. So the ignition effect is just the way that it sounds. When you are igniting the lightsaber, there's an effect that occurs prior to the blade actually coming out. So again, this is standard. You just press the button, turns on, almost like it was a light switch. And now we're going to hold down for 3 button flashes. 1, 2, 3.
Blaster blade.
So blaster blade is unique in the sense that there's no actual light that is going to activate with the blade. However, you are going to use it like a blaster, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So we turn it on, we still get the audio, but you can see that there's nothing going on with the blade itself. But if you press the button, you'll see that it makes blaster sounds. So that's kind of fun.
Ghost blade.
Ghost blade is a little tricky to show, but I'll do my best. So it depends on the velocity that you're moving the blade, how intense the light will show from the blade itself. So as you can see, the blade isn't moving, so it doesn't display any light. But then I start moving it subtly, and depending on how quickly I move it, the blade will intensify. And I just showed you a little gesture control right there. We'll get to that later.
Broken ignition.
Right, broken ignition. Next up,
Stack ignition.
so you can see you can really change a lot. The way the blade comes out, the way the blade looks when it comes out, the color of the blade. I mean, you can really customize these a lot. And all you have to do is just hold the button down for a certain number of seconds or light flashes. And you can see the ignition effect even affects the way that the blade retracts.
Photon ignition.
So I'm gonna do that again, so you can see that it actually does do the entire blade. Let's do that again. I actually think this should be called stack ignition. I'm not sure why the other one is, but what do I know?
Warp ignition.
This is another one I'm going to show again for you because it kind of takes the whole blade for you to appreciate it. Yeah. All right, so again, 3 light flashes. 1, 2, 3.
Phaser ignition.
I'm just going to show the whole blade just. And this is the kind of stuff that you can't get with a base lit saber, because again, the light is always coming from just the hilt itself and shooting up. This is only what you can get by having a NeoPixel blade with a Xenopixel hilt.
Scavenger ignition.
All right, scavenger ignition is basically raise ignition. So you can see it kind of has like a little tiny delay, as if the hilt is opening up to allow the blade to come out, which is how a raised lightsaber is designed.
Hunter ignition.
All right. There you go. What do we got left here?
Standard blade.
All right, back to standard. Very cool. And last but certainly not least is going to be the 4-second or 4 light flash, which is going to be changing your saber fonts. So if we hold it down for 4 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I am the Senate.
All right, let's do one more since that's going to be the same color for us. There we go. Let's do another one here. Here you go. So Ahsoka's pretty unique because she's going to have a white saber here. So that's nice and bright. And notice the difference in the saber hum. All the fonts are completely different. They all have their subtleties to them. You really feel like you're the character. Let's do one more here.
Are you a Jedi? I am.
This is actually a good one to end on here because I'm going to show you one other thing. And this is actually a gesture control feature, but it's a little tough to display because it does have to do with music, copyrighted music at that. So I'm just going to show you this real quick, which is if you take your hilt and you give it a twist to the left or counterclockwise, if the font has it, it'll actually play music that's attached to that font. So again, we're going to do this kind of real quick here. And I think we recognize that from a very popular scene in a very popular show. All right, so we're going to turn that off. And the last thing is going to be turning off your lightsaber entirely, which you're going to do by holding down the button for about 8 to 10 seconds. Just keep in mind that because you technically are holding it down for 4 light flashes, you are going to change the font just before it powers off. No big deal, just make sure you know that. And then you're going to hear the power off. That's when you know you can remove your finger.
Padawan Corbin.
Power off.
And there you go. And you notice that the LED on the activation button is off too. Next, we're going to go over motion controls. So some of the best features are actually going to come from the way that you move the blade, not from the button at all. This does have motion control, which means you can do a lot just by flicking your wrist.
That's what she said.
A flick to the right or clockwise turns on the blade. Same motion turns it off. Now, if you invert the blade and you give a twist to the left or counterclockwise,
The teacher.
you'll change the sound font. All right, now while the blade is on, there's a couple of different features as well. So we'll give her a turn on. All right, and if you press the button, you'll see it does the blaster deflect. But you can also just move in kind of a jerking motion and it'll also do it. Now, if you press and hold the button and then hit the blade, it'll actually do what we call a saber lock. So that's going to lock as if you're locked in blades with someone. If you press and hold for about a second and then thrust forward, you're going to get tip drag. That'll make it look like maybe like Qui-Gon when he was going at that wall, or if you're dragging your blade on the ground. Looks good for that too. And then just give it another press and it'll turn off. And lastly, this might be my favorite, is another way you can turn on the blade is by pulling towards you and then thrusting away from you quickly. So probably most commonly known as the old Kylo Ren. You don't have to kick up your leg, but it's good for show. Now you can't do it the opposite. So it only works to turn on the blade, but you can still motion control to turn it off. It also does have swing to turn on. So I like to do one of these and it'll turn on just by the motion. You can also go across. And it turns on like that too. And that, as they say, is that. I know tutorials aren't always the funnest, so I appreciate you guys stopping by. I promise you that now you know how to use your saber. You're going to enjoy it a lot more. You're going to have a lot more fun. The only drawback is that you might buy some more lightsabers. If you like this video, give it a like. I'd love for you to subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram at the Saber Fortress. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. May the Force be with you, and may the algorithm be with me.